Hey friends, it's Sarah from... Can you even see me? It's that weird time between Christmas and New Year's where you don't know what day it is. And so, yeah, I'm gonna craft with something new. Stick around. Okay, so I'm gonna sort of breeze through opening this stuff. I found a couple of things I absolutely didn't know what they were. Turns out they're positioning tools for this multicolor kit. It has an S1 and a D1, and I have a random other one. Look at that box. Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that inspire you? I really actually am pretty impressed with the packaging. As always with xTool, they outdo themselves. These two are my website colors. Ooh. I really like the packaging. All right, so once I open up the smaller unit here, we've got some cardstock. We've got a lot of screens inside. Each of those has 3 of them inside. We have a tote bag. I love these double-sided sticky mats. And we have the base of the actual screen printer itself. This is magnetically held on in place. A lot of ink. The multicolor kit comes with 3 primary colors, gold, silver, and glow in the dark. We also have a knob for the actual unit and screws for the positioning tool. My unit came with 4 frames and this base. This is a palette knife for the color, and this doesn't look as pristine anymore. It's super easy to assemble. There you go. You just screw on the knob and cut off these pieces of tape. Now, for this, I will tell you, it is super simple, even though it's intimidating looking. You just make sure all of the levers are unlocked. There's 2 sides to every screen. One is blue, one has cardboard. Now, there are 2 little tabs. I'm going to show you where I like to put mine. So you see the 2 little tabs? I'm not going to pull it up yet, but it'll become very apparent. So I'm going to pop this in so the cardboard is set into the middle of the frame. And then we're just going to make sure my little pin here, this is a smaller end pin, and so I just make sure it's lined up in the center. I push down. Don't push down like that. Push in and push down, kind of at a 45-degree or so angle. Doesn't take a lot of force. And you can see this is a longer pin. We have 2 for each side. And I'm just gonna, again, instead of pushing straight down like that, you're gonna push in and then towards you. It becomes very tight. Now, I have not tightened my levers on the outside yet until I take this cardboard off. I found it worked a little better for me. So you can see I'm on the opposite end of where the cardboard's going to be on the machine, and you just pop this up. It's held on with 4 sticky areas. Now that we have all of that off, I'm going to go ahead and tighten these levers, and all you have to do is literally just push them the opposite way. They come right up against the actual frame. And then it becomes very tight. So if you can listen. So this is the multi-color kit's positioning. Now I'm on the riser. I'm just going to show you where it goes. You can put it on the left, but I actually recommend putting it on the right to avoid any issues. And what happens is each of the frames will just slide into and be held by these pins. Once I turn on my xTool S1 40 watt, I'm going to let it come home, and I'm going to open up a new XCS, and I'm going to save it. I hear a lot of people aren't saving theirs. Always save. When we choose screen print, you can see our entire canvas changes, and when we scroll down here, we have the coded screen already entered. And what's going to happen is when we auto measure, frame, everything like normal, when we hit engrave, our settings will auto populate. So I'm going to first set the distance, just like we do with every one thing with the S1. We're going to position the crosshairs over our material. It's going to auto measure, come over, reset itself, and fill in our distance. I'm just going to make a simple thank you card for this one, so I'm going to put in some text. So I'm often asked about fonts. I will say what I've learned is you don't want something that has too thin of any joins. So keep that in mind. I'm going to show you real world examples for this because I didn't realize this. It's very similar to when we're cutting very thin joins. All right, so I'm just going to duplicate this, and one is going to be thank, one is going to be you, and then we'll clean this up. So I'm going to kind of get an idea of positioning a little bit to see if I really like this font. And all I'm doing is moving it. Okay, so I'm going to weld each of these separately, and then I'm going to select both of them together, and we're just going to set engrave. Once we do that, you can see all of our settings just populated. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and just resize this to my actual cards, which are half pieces of what we got in the kit, those cardstocks. So I'm going to turn this 90 degrees because that's what I thought that note up there was. And I'll show you my mistake because I don't hide that from anybody, right? I'm not trying to make myself look good. I'm just trying to share this journey. So once I have it in place, you can see I'd already framed it, I'd already moved it, but that's not right. We need to select them and reflect them. That is going to depend whether it's horizontal or vertical based on your orientation and when you turn it 90 degrees. But honestly, all you need to do is make sure that it is illegible and you're good. All right, so we're going to go and just do our normal marking and setting our processing area by hitting the start button, moving our crosshairs, hitting the start button again, and getting our beautiful little rectangle. I'm going to position this into my processing area, staying away from the very edge because I just don't know how that's going to work yet. And then I'm going to frame it like normal, where the machine just maps out what it's going to do. All right, when we hit process, we do have an estimated time of 15 minutes. And when I hit start on the software first and then on the machine, I'm going to go and finish preparing our actual printer. There you go, you're done. You just click this thing in, it's held with magnets, and then you have all these adjustable knobs down here. I made sure mine was level before I played with that at all, just moving it up and down, left and right. I didn't need to adjust it for this project, but have for others. Now there's two sticky sides to these mats. I love these mats. If you don't use them with your xTool lasers, you're missing out. One, we just take off one side cover and that's the back. I stick it down. The top still has its cover on until I want to put my material there. You can see this thing processed in 13.5 minutes. This is the second time I did it, so let me show you what this looks like out of the machine. What I didn't realize was that this is actually quite messy. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see all this dust. It gets really bad with some of the heavily engraving things. You can brush it off, but now I have learned just take it to your sink and wash it off. So this is when it was lasered. You can see if I can read it, it's wrong because if we turn it to where we put it on our machine, that side is the correct side. And to put it in, we just make sure that the two little points up here are lined up, and then you close these levers into the center and it is locked in. Now to get it to adjustable height, I'm using paper for this project, so I want to loosen the knob at the front of the machine, and then I'm going to press this entire thing down, hold it, and then tighten the knob. Now when I'm doing a thicker project, we just do this process with the actual material in the place. So now I'm going to position my card. I'm going to do the wrong side first. That's the backward side. And I'm doing that because I just kind of want to see the process. I've never done screen printing in my whole, nearly half a century here, kittens. So I just didn't know what I was doing. I will also say you want to protect your table because this ink is vibrant and it's messy. So I'm just going to scrape off a bit of the ink here and lay it down. I still have no idea how much ink to use, to be honest, so I'm often left with leftovers, so I just pop it back in if I haven't blended colors. So once I have that on there, I'm going to start my very first pull. There you go. Now let's see what it looks like. So I do have a lot of ink left over, and I'm just going to take that and put it back in the bucket. I think I can do that. I don't know. The book doesn't tell me anything. And if you read my full review of this, you can tell that I only have one complaint so far, and that is I honestly didn't know what to do. All right, so I think the book that needs to be a little bit more robust. If you've never done screen printing, maybe watch a couple videos. But we're going to do the right side now, and again, we set it up the same exact way. I used a flashlight to sort of make sure I had it kind of where I wanted it. And then you can see right out of the machine here, I'm a little off center with it, but it is really, really vibrant. So let me show you here. It is very, very vibrant. You can see at the T here, it's a little thin, and I think that's because of the font that I used. So I'm just going to blow through a couple of these. I did quite a few just to see if I could change techniques. I did some blending of colors, and I didn't know really how to do that part. I'm not sure if we were supposed to do that off of the screen or if doing it on the screen was okay. Second pull. I will say it blended really well, and then when I put this magnet here, it's so powerful that look, my ink came off onto my thing, so I just pulled it again. And now I'm gonna see what that looks like. There you go. I think it looks okay. Again, that T is a little messed up, the bottom of the Y, but I think that's the font I used. So I did quite a few more of these just to see if I could keep working. I cleaned some off with a little bit of water and put, paper towel underneath. I did that a few times just to see if I could just keep using the same screen. And you can see at the bottom of the Y and the bottom of the O and the T, it got a little worse. So again, I tried to clean it and see. Honestly, I think the best way to do this is just take the entire frame to the sink, meaning the whole thing. Do not take it out of the frame. The screen stays in. You can wash the entire thing with water. I used water and a scrub brush, and I have done, 7 or 8 projects now. It looks great. Now, I will say I ended up trying to fill in some spots. I don't like the way it looked, but on other projects it worked. So I think it's just going to depend on what you're doing. I did a lot of blending projects just to see how it would work and what, if I could do it. Easy cleanup on this part. I also took this to this sink as well as this big guy in order to clean everything up. So you can see how these cards came out. I'm showing the errors, I'm showing the good ones, but the cards were just the beginning. I hope you join me for my next video where I push the limits. I did really, really big designs. I did multicolor designs. I used the positioning tool. I used the glow in the dark and blended and learned a little bit about that. That glow in the dark is fun. I also tested really heavy engraving to see how the machine would do, and I had to tweak some settings, but now I put like 4 designs on one screen, so I have repeatable GIFs to make really easily. I also tested the boundaries and put a 2-color design on the same screen and learned how to position them. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but that's it for me. Join me for more crafty fun, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to read the review.